Mark and Lisa had been high school sweethearts. They met in their junior year of high school, and it was love at first sight. Mark was the star quarterback of the football team, while Lisa was the head cheerleader. Despite their differences, they connected over their shared love of music and their dreams of attending college and building a life together. After graduating from high school, they'd both received scholarships to the same university. They moved into a small apartment together and started their college journey. Mark was studying business, while Lisa was majoring in psychology. They had their ups and downs, but they always found a way to support each other and work through any challenges. As the years went by, they got married and started a family. As they entered college, they faced challenges that threatened to tear them apart. But they persevered, driven by their shared passion and determination to overcome any obstacle that stood in their way. As they grew older, Mark and Lisa realized that their love was not just a fleeting infatuation, but a deep and abiding connection that would sustain them through the years. They supported each other as they pursued their careers, working tirelessly to achieve success and build a life together. Their love blossomed as they faced life's challenges hand in hand. They weathered the storms of adversity, drawing strength from each other and the unbreakable bond that united them. And when the time was right, they welcomed children into their lives, nurturing them with the same love and devotion that had brought them together. They were drawn to each other's ambition and passion for learning, and as their friendship blossomed into a romantic relationship, they decided to build their lives together. Mark, driven by his love for entrepreneurship, worked hard to excel in his business studies. He spent countless hours studying market trends, analyzing business strategies, and learning from successful entrepreneurs. His dedication and determination paid off as he graduated at the top of his class and landed a prestigious position at a leading investment firm. Lisa, on the other hand, was deeply passionate about understanding human behavior and helping others. Her psychology major allowed her to gain valuable insights into the complexities of the human mind, and she quickly became an expert in her field. She began her career as a counselor, providing support and guidance to those in need. As Mark and Lisa flourished in their respective careers, they began to dream of starting a family together. They shared a strong bond, and their love for each other only grew stronger with time. After a few years, they welcomed their first child, a beautiful baby girl named Emily. 2 years later, they were blessed with a son, Michael. The family was overjoyed with their new additions, but they soon realized that their small apartment was no longer sufficient for their growing family. Mark and Lisa made the decision to buy a new home, taking out a mortgage to finance the purchase. They worked tirelessly to ensure they made their mortgage payments on time, determined to provide a stable and comfortable life for their children. As Mark and Lisa continued to grow in their careers, they remained dedicated to their family. They worked long hours and made personal sacrifices to ensure their children received the best education and opportunities. After several years of being in a committed relationship, they welcomed their first child, a beautiful baby girl named Emily. Emily's arrival brought immense joy and happiness into their lives. Mark and Lisa were determined to provide their daughter with the best possible upbringing, instilling in her the values of hard work, compassion, and the importance of education. As Emily grew older, she showed a keen interest in both business and psychology, just like her parents. A few years later, Mark and Lisa were thrilled to find out that they were expecting another child. This time, it was a baby boy. They named him James, and as he grew up, he too displayed a passion for business and psychology, just like his sister and parents. Mark and Lisa worked tirelessly to ensure that their children received the best education and opportunities. They encouraged Emily and James to pursue their interests, whether it was in business or psychology, and to never give up on their dreams. As the years went by, Mark and Lisa's relationship began to change. Their busy careers and the demands of raising 2 children took a toll on their once strong bond. They started to spend less time together and found themselves growing apart. Mark's focus on building his business empire left little time for personal relationships, and Lisa's dedication to her counseling practice meant that she was often preoccupied with the needs of her clients. The couple found themselves drifting further and further apart, with little communication and understanding between them. Their once vibrant and loving relationship had become a distant memory. They started to argue more frequently, and their disagreements often revolved around their children, Emily and James. Mark and Lisa struggled to find common ground and work together as a team, which only served to deepen the divide between them. Lisa began to drift away from Mark, and he noticed her spending more time on her phone, seemingly in constant communication with her best friend, Martha. Mark, who knew Martha well, didn't think much of it at first, as he assumed they were just catching up like close friends often do. However, as time passed, Mark grew increasingly concerned about the amount of time Lisa was spending on her phone and the way she seemed to be more focused on her conversations with Martha than on their relationship. He started to feel like he was losing her, and it caused a great deal of tension between them. Mark tried to talk to Lisa about the issue, but she became defensive and accused him of being controlling. Mark felt guilty because of his control, but for good reason. Mark began to feel a sense of jealousy creeping into his thoughts. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more going on between Martha and his wife. He had always trusted her, but now he found himself questioning her loyalty. One day, while his wife was in the shower, Mark decided to take a look at her phone. He scrolled through her messages with Martha, looking for any signs of infidelity. He found nothing out of the ordinary, but the suspicion lingered in his mind. Mark knew he couldn't keep living like this, so he decided to confront his wife about his suspicions. She was taken aback by his accusations and insisted that she was only talking to her best friend, nothing more. Feeling guilty for doubting her, Mark apologized to his wife and promised to trust her more in the future. He realized that his jealousy was unfounded and that he needed to work on building more trust in their relationship. Oh, how wrong Mark was then. Not finding anything special, Mark calmed down. He made sure that Lisa really communicated with her friend. But what happened next? You need to hear this. Mark tried his best to make the night special for both of them. He bought a bottle of their favorite wine, picked up some beautiful flowers, and prepared the bedroom with candles and soft music. He was hopeful that this would be a turning point in their relationship and help them reconnect on a deeper level. As they began to share the wine, Lisa appeared to be going through the motions. She smiled and sipped her drink, but Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Her eyes seemed distant, and her laughter didn't quite reach her usual warmth. Despite his concerns, Mark moved forward with his plan. He took Lisa's hand and led her to the bedroom, where he kissed her gently and undressed her with tenderness. As they made love, he couldn't help but notice her distracted demeanor. She seemed distant, and her responses were subdued. After they finished, Mark tried to hold her close, but Lisa remained distant. She didn't return his affection or engage in any conversation. It was as if she was a million miles away, lost in her own thoughts. Mark's suspicions grew stronger as the night wore on. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Was there someone else? Was she unhappy with him? The questions swirled in his mind, leaving him feeling uneasy and confused. As they lay in bed, Mark decided to confront Lisa about his concerns. He asked her if there was something on her mind, something that was troubling her. She just said that she had troubles in her job and she was so tired. After that night, everything seemed to get worse. Lisa began to often stay late at work and asked Mark to go to her friend's place because it made her feel better. Mark tried to support her and understand, but he couldn't help but feel like their relationship was falling apart. As the days went by, Lisa's distance grew more significant. Mark started to notice changes in her behavior and attitude toward him. She would often come home late from work, and when she did, she seemed distant and preoccupied. Mark found himself increasingly frustrated and confused. He had tried so hard to make that night special, and it seemed like nothing he did was enough to rekindle their connection. After a while, Mark couldn't stand it anymore and started asking Lisa what was going on. They had a big fight and huge argue. Mark and Lisa's argument escalated as they sat in the car, tension rising with each passing moment. Lisa's coldness and the lack of intimacy in their relationship had been an ongoing issue for Mark, but he had never felt the need to confront her about it until now. "What's going on, Lisa?" "You've been acting distant lately," Mark said, trying to keep his voice calm. "And our sex life has been practically non-existent." Lisa's eyes flashed with anger. "You know what, Mark? Maybe if you weren't so focused on yourself all the time, you'd notice that I've been under a lot of stress lately," she retorted. Mark's frustration boiled over. "Stress? You think I don't have stress too? We both work full-time jobs, and you're telling me that's not enough for you. What's really going on, Lisa?" Are you seeing someone else? Lisa's eyes widened in shock. Seeing someone else? How dare you even suggest that? She exclaimed, her voice rising. I can't believe you would accuse me of cheating on you. Mark sighed, trying to regain control of the conversation. I'm not accusing you of anything, Lisa. I'm just trying to understand what's going on with you. You've been so distant, and our relationship has been suffering because of it. Lisa's anger dissipated, replaced by a mix of sadness and frustration. Mark, I'm not cheating on you. I promise. But I need some space right now. I'm going to stay with Martha for a few days. I need to clear my head. Mark's heart sank as he realized the gravity of the situation. Lisa, please, don't do this. We can work through this together. Just tell me what's going on. Lisa shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. I can't, Mark. Not right now. I'm sorry. With that, Lisa grabbed her bag and stormed out of the car, leaving Mark alone with his thoughts and a lingering feeling that he losing the woman he loved. Lisa didn't take her car. After one day, Mark decided to keep himself busy and washed the inside of his car. He then started working on Lisa's car, determined to make it spotless and show her that he was still a capable and caring partner. Mark was meticulously cleaning the inside of Lisa's car, determined to make it as pristine as possible. As he reached under the seat, he felt a small plastic package, one he immediately recognized as a condom pack. His heart began to race, and he felt a surge of emotions welling up inside him. He pulled out the package, his hands shaking slightly as he read the label. It was a protection condom pack, the kind that people used when they were sexually active. And it was in Lisa's car. Mark felt an incredible cocktail of emotions: misunderstanding, anger, resentment. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. How could Lisa have a condom pack in her car? Was she seeing someone else behind his back? Was she cheating on him? His mind raced with questions, but he couldn't deny the evidence right in front of him. This was a betrayal, and it was a betrayal he couldn't ignore. He couldn't bring himself to confront Lisa about the condom pack just yet, so he decided to hide it for the time being, hoping to find a way to confirm his suspicions before confronting her. As he continued cleaning the car, Mark's thoughts were consumed by what he had found. He couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal and hurt that had settled in his chest. He had always considered Lisa to be a loyal and faithful partner, but now he wasn't so sure. The discovery of the condom pack cast a dark shadow over their relationship, and Mark knew that things would never be the same between them. As he finished cleaning the car, Mark carefully placed the condom pack back where he had found it, his mind racing with thoughts of what to do next. He knew that he had to be smart and strategic about this, but he also knew that he couldn't let it go unanswered. The discovery of the condom pack in Lisa's car had changed everything, and Mark knew that he had to tread carefully if he wanted to get to the truth. He had a lot of work to do, but he was determined to find out what was really going on and put an end to the uncertainty that was plaguing him. Mark was known to be a kind and gentle person, always putting the needs of others before his own. His friends and family respected him for his empathy and compassion, and he was considered a pillar of the community. But now, everything was about to change. As he sat in his car, the condom pack clutched tightly in his hand, he struggled to make sense of what he had just discovered. His mind raced with questions and doubts, and his heart ached at the thought of his wife, Lisa, betraying him. Despite his kind nature, Mark's only desire now was to uncover the truth. He knew that he would have to act fast, as he couldn't bear the thought of living a lie any longer. He needed to expose his wife's cheating, and he would stop at nothing to get to the bottom of this. He knew that asking her directly might lead to more lies, so he decided to take matters into his own hands. Mark stumbled upon a shocking discovery one day when he realized that Lisa had inadvertently left her Messenger account open on his computer. She had used his laptop for work the previous day and had forgotten to log out of her Messenger. As Mark browsed through her chat history, he was stunned to find two separate conversations with Marta. One was with the real Marta, but the other one, which had the same profile picture, was archived in the Messenger. As he delved deeper into the chat history, Mark's heart sank as he discovered the disturbing content within the conversation with the fake Marta. In these messages, Lisa had been discussing explicit sexual activities with someone, and the fake Marta persona had promised to punish her and engage in rough sex. As if that wasn't enough, Someone in the chat had referred to Lisa as a girl and a bitch, and she had responded, "Yes, I'm all your bitch." Mark felt a wave of nausea wash over him as he read through the messages, his mind racing with questions and doubts. How could his wife, the woman he loved and trusted, be involved in such demeaning behavior? He couldn't fathom the thought of her submitting to someone in this way and felt a deep sense of betrayal. As he continued to read through the chat history, Mark noticed that the conversations had been going on for several months, and he couldn't help but wonder if there was more to the story. He felt a growing sense of dread as he realized that this wasn't the only secret Lisa had been keeping from him. He knew that asking her directly might lead to more lies, so he decided to take matters into his own hands. Mark's anger burned within him, a fiery mix of rage, frustration, and self-directed disappointment. He couldn't believe he had been so foolish, allowing himself to be taken in by Lisa's lies and deceit. As he squeezed the jar of water tightly, the sharp pain on his hand served as a stark reminder of his anger and the need to regain control of his emotions. A moment of clarity washed over him, and he realized that he would have to divorce Lisa if he ever hoped to escape the tangled web of lies she had spun. But before he could do that, he needed to uncover her intrigues and expose her for the manipulative person she was. With a renewed sense of purpose, Mark set out to gather evidence, determined to make Lisa pay for her betrayal. He would find every shred of proof, every hidden message, and every secret conversation, no matter how long it took or how difficult it might be. As he delved deeper into Lisa's world, he discovered layer upon layer of deception, each one more shocking than the last. He felt a sense of righteous indignation, fueling his resolve to bring her to justice and make her pay for her actions. Mark knew that the road ahead would be long and challenging, but he was prepared to face it head-on. He would not rest until he had exposed Lisa's lies and ensured that she faced the consequences of her actions. After a few days, Lisa entered the house, a sense of unease washing over her as she noticed the tension in the air. She searched Mark's face for any signs of what was bothering him, but his expression remained impassive, his eyes cold and distant. She tried to engage him in conversation, asking questions about his day and offering to cook his favorite meal, but Mark's replies were short and clipped, his tone devoid of any warmth. The normally attentive and affectionate husband she knew seemed to have vanished, replaced by a stranger who barely acknowledged her presence, but Mark hasn't said a word to her. Mark's anger burned within him, a fiery mix of rage, frustration, and self-directed disappointment. He couldn't believe he had been so blind, so oblivious to the truth that had been staring him in the face for months. His wife, Lisa, was having an affair, and she thought she was so clever using her car for her trysts. As Mark sat alone in his study, his mind replayed the images of Lisa and the other man, their hands and lips intertwined in a passionate embrace. He had followed her one evening, his suspicions growing with each passing day, and his worst fears were confirmed when he saw them together in her car. Determined to uncover the full extent of her betrayal, Mark decided to replace the broken internal video recorder in Lisa's car with a new one. He installed remote access, ensuring that he could watch and record every intimate moment that took place within the vehicle. Lisa thought the recorder was broken, but little did she know that her husband was watching her every move. Mark's heart pounded in his chest as he waited for the next opportunity to catch Lisa in the act. He spent countless hours monitoring the video feed. Despite his growing rage, Mark knew that he needed to maintain a facade of normalcy for the sake of their children. He couldn't let Lisa know that he was aware of her affair, at least not yet. He needed to gather more evidence, to build a case against her that would leave no room for doubt or denial. One day it happened. Mark couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the video. There, in plain sight, was Lisa picking up a man and getting into her car, starting with a kiss. He recognized the man as their classmate Jake from the college they had attended 10 years earlier. The shock and betrayal hit him hard as the video footage continued to pile up. Mark began to notice a pattern in Lisa's behavior. She would always park in the same secluded spot, away from prying eyes and potential witnesses. She would take great care to ensure that no one saw them together, even going so far as to cover the windows with blankets and towels. Mark watched as Lisa and her lover engaged in increasingly risque acts, their bodies pressed tightly against one another as they explored each other's desires. He saw the way they looked at each other, the hunger in their eyes, and the way they seemed to lose themselves in each other's embrace. At that moment he wanted to go and kill them, but he needed the whole recording. A record that will destroy the reputation of these two forever. How it hurt Mark. When Jake began to undress his wife, he turned off the sound and monitor for the duration of the recording so as not to see it, and he walked towards the car. Mark walked slowly to make sure everything was caught on camera and the two didn't somehow twist their actions. When Mark arrived at the car, his wife was in the back seat and Jake was pressing over her. Mark opened the door and with all his strength and fury pulled out Jake, who had his underpants down. He fell to the ground, and at the same moment Mark's boot walked across Jake's nose, leaving a bloody trail there. Jake tried to get up and fight back, but Mark deftly kicked him in the chest, and he began to drag himself along the ground, coughing. Looking at naked Lisa, who was half naked and all red from the process, Mark spat on the ground and went home. A few hours later, Lisa's things stood next to the house, and a video of his wife's infidelity spread across all Facebook groups in their city. Mark had no compassion for her, despite the fact that she was his wife and the mother of his children. After a while, when they return home from vacation, he will still have to explain to the children why they are not together and ask them who they want to be with. Mark is a real man, always has been and always will be. He did not prohibit the children from seeing their mother. When they grow up, they will understand it. In the meantime, two people need to die of shame because of their adventures.